Good afternoon, everybody, and happy Tuesday. It's my first official live of the year, and I'm so excited there's going to be a lot more of this. And today we're talking all about the pace that a lot of women are craving for 2026. And the reason why I felt called to talk about pace is because so often we associate pace in the new year with goals and aspirations, and we find ourselves really in more of a survival strategy. So we tend to put things more on our plate. We tend to overcommit. We tend to go guns ablazing in the new year at a different pace. And the reality of it is that when we really get honest with ourselves and when we really drop into our bodies, which is our innate wisdom, the pace isn't that you crave to go slower. You're craving to feel safer. You're craving to be regulated. And more importantly, ladies, you're craving sustainability. And sustainability is ultimately the definition of something that can withstand long term without that constant patterning of, okay, it's the new year. I'm going to push. I'm going to crash. I'm going to recover. I'm going to repeat. When we think of survival based pace strategies, this is a loop that we see time and time again. It's the new year. I'm going to push. I'm going to overcommit and say I'm going to do all the things and I've got all these goals and I'm going to sustain that as much as possible. And then bam, come February or March, we find a major crash happening. We recover in any which way that we're used to recovering, go for a weekend, drink margaritas on the beach, whatever that may look like, no judgment, no shame. And then we repeat the cycle. We push, we crash, we recover, and we repeat. The reality of it is that the old pace of survival is fucking outdated. And true sustainable pace that all of us women crave, especially my women that are watching this that are in perimenopause and or menopause, is we're sick and tired of that loop. The push, the crash, the recover, the repeat. What we want is we want titration. We want to feel a clear yes in our body and a clear no. We want energy led moving forward. We want to rest as a fucking strategy, not as a reward. We want play and joy as a part of our life, not once a quarter, not once a year, but more frequently. And this ultimately builds a bigger capacity because in those moments, more often than not, you build a bigger capacity to expand because you're expanding through safety, you're expanding through devotion versus a pace that is unsustainable. And so when I really started to get honest with myself, especially going into the new year's, one of the different things that I've invited a lot of the women that I work with is, first and foremost, let's get honest with where we are in our lives, whether it's professionally, romantically, our health. And let's just start to do an inventory on, okay, when it comes to practices or devotions around my mindset, what actually feels fucking good? What expands me? When it comes to caring for my body, what actually feels good and gives me energy? What needs to shift and change based off where I'm at today? Not a year ago, not 10 years from now, but where are you now? And then really, like, what sets your soul on fire at this pace right now? Because ultimately, when we've been moving faster, do more, discipline, do more, discipline, versus being in devotion to our mental, our physical, and emotional well being, energetically, it's vastly different. And so when you start to claim that inner authority of, I'm going into 2026 with a different pace, and leaning into curiosity of what that pace is from a sustainable, from a level of safety, and from a level of this feels good in my body when I'm at this pace. Because survival, what we know about survival is its flavorings of anxiousness, I must now, I got to do more, or freeze or shut down, avoid, don't want to talk about it, don't want to look at it, and completely check out, right? Neither one is right or wrong or good or bad. But a lot of us know what it feels like when we are in survival. And the key is, How can you learn a new pace that puts you, your adult self, in that authority place of what are the devotional practices around your mental well-being, your emotional well-being, your heart space for joy that helps you to, number one, allow yourself to build a bigger capacity, but also know that money is coming. Also know that your relationship exchange feels cleaner because you know what your yes is. You feel, and you know what your no is. You can lead from your higher self versus survival. Pleasure and creativity return. I was on a coaching call this morning with a woman that I've had the honor to working with. And the big awareness that we discovered in her session today is that her nervous system, and it was interesting, I had her write down a couple of things, and halfway through her writing, when I asked her, when your nervous system is regulated, what are the thoughts you think? What are the behaviors that you do with your body? What are things that you do that brings joy? And one of the things that she wrote is that I eat sugar and drink caffeine. And I said, wait a second. I asked you from a pace that feels good and what regulates you. Her unconscious mind defaulted to her coping strategy of food and caffeine. And what we were able to get underneath and identify that is that was a 7-year-old little girl who learned to be hyper responsible for her siblings and really didn't have a place of ease, a lot of joy, a lot of laughter, a lot of fun. And so fast forward as an adult, her nervous system, her pace, literally and metaphorically, is used to this. Slowness doesn't feel safe. Her body doesn't feel safe when she is slowing down, acknowledging her thoughts. Her body doesn't feel safe when she slows down and cares for it. Her soul doesn't feel safe to take time off and have fun and play and shut her fucking phone off. So your pace is really the invitation to get clear with, because in 2026, you don't need no more fucking discipline. You need a devotion to a pace that your body can start to trust. I'm going to say that slower. In 2025, you do not need more discipline, or 2026, you do not need more discipline. You need devotion to a pace that your body can start to trust more than survival. Going slower is natural. Understanding what can you do to slow down and shift your mindset? What can you do to nourish your body at a different pace? What can you do to give yourself joy and creativity and pleasure at a different pace? Which ultimately leads to this. This is a big part of the reason why I do the Epic Self-Care Challenge every single January and February, for 2 reasons. It's a permission slip to reevaluate where you are with your mental, your physical, and your emotional practices. Where are you at? No judgment. Lean into curiosity of like, okay, if I were to set a new pace, a new flow, a new cadence with what I want in my life for this year, what can I do around my mental, my emotional, and physical well-being that actually puts me in a new momentum, a new energy, so that I can start off this year really being more honest with where I'm at and what I want for 2026. Because again, it's all about pace. It's all about devotion. It's not about discipline. And listen, by all means, like I've studied James Clear, Atomic Habits. I mean, I teach NLP. I'm a master practitioner. I love all that. And feminine energy needs safety. Feminine energy needs rhythm. Feminine energy needs play. Feminine energy needs emotional regulation. Feminine energy also needs boundaries. And so when we build from that place with how we show up, how we care for ourselves, it's a game changer. And I say this because it's so key. Too many women that I work with and have worked with are operating off of discipline and a masculine way of force in the world. Too many women that I work with are building their workout schedules like a fucking dude. Ladies, for any of you that are watching, you do not operate off of predominantly testosterone. Whether you have a bleed or you don't have a bleed, what you do with your mental, your physical, and your emotional care needs a different pace. And when you don't honor it based off of your biology, you're more than not operating out of an outdated survival strategy. And that survival strategy has a lot of familiarity and a lot of patterning that has got you to where you are today. So, for any of you who are watching, my invitation for you is if you are craving a different pace in 2026 and you're ready to stop the push, the crash, the recover, the repeat. If you're ready to stop that cycle of push, crash, recover, repeat, my invitation is I'm going to call you forward into rituals and practices that restore your energy. I'm going to call you forward for practices that feel good in the body, not because someone on social media tells you that you need to do squats and you need to do pushes. I'm going to give you permission to learn what feels good. Also, I'm going to give you permission to say yes to things that actually allow you to let your nervous system build a bigger capacity versus you forcing your nervous system into overdoing, overcommitting, and then repeating that pattern. And last but not least, I'm going to give you permission to devote to yourself, to your mind, to your body, to your soul. I'm going to drop in this link, the link to the 21-day self-care challenge. I lead it every single week. I'm on live calls like this. There's so much juice and nuggets that we all get to do together. It's so fun. I've been doing this for many years now, and it's exciting because it gives me even permission. I'm a 44-year-old perimenopausal business owner, fiance, entrepreneur woman. And what I did in my 30s is not how I want my pace to be today. How I take care of my body and my mental well-being is so different than last year. So give yourself permission to join the 21-day self-care challenge. It's less than $100. You can explore all of these things. I take that back. It's $111 to be exact. So I apologize, disclosure. Give yourself the permission to learn a new pace in 2026. Allow me to be your guide. Allow me to create new opportunities for you to know the difference between survival-based and inner authority. From learning survival and the difference between regulated choices. I hope to see you in the 21-day challenge. And remember, you deserve a different pace in 2026. And more importantly, the pace that feels good and more importantly, sustainable. Hope to see you in the challenge.